This 5-year-old girl mysteriously disappeared every day after school. One day her father decided to follow her secretly to find out where she was going. He burst into tears when he found out where his daughter went every day. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Carl's daughter was late coming home from school every day for 4 days. This was very unusual for her. She was a sweet girl who always followed the rules. Her school finished at 3:30, and she always went straight home and have lunch with her father. However, that week, she constantly left him alone to wait for her. Where did he go every day? For the first few days, Carl didn't worry. After all, the girl always came home, albeit about an hour and a half late. Maybe go to a friend's house to play. Or they sat in the schoolyard to play ball. But on the 5th day, Emily was over 3 hours late, and Carl started to get really worried. He asked her why she was so late, and she casually replied that she had some work to do at school. But Carl didn't believe her, and the next day, he called her school. "We were just about to call you," his daughter's teacher told him. He had noticed that after school, Emily was the last child to leave. She'd also always left alone and seemed particularly nervous. "Do you know what could be going on?" the teacher asked Carl. The father was shocked. "He doesn't come home right away, and I feel like he's lying to me about what he does after school," she told the teacher. "This all seems very strange to me, and I'm worried," Carl continued. "Maybe I should keep an eye on her." The teacher confirmed the father's fears and advised him to carry out this plan as soon as possible. So the next day at noon, Carl hid in the bushes outside the schoolyard. Emily was standing alone in the yard, looking nervous. After a while she started, and Carl followed her. Tracking wasn't as easy as Carl thought. The little girl was surprisingly fast, running from one alley to another. Carl was having a hard time keeping up with her. After a 15-minute zigzag ride, Emily and Carl pulled away from the city streets. The asphalt had now become grass, and the houses had been replaced by deciduous trees. His daughter stopped for a while at the entrance of a large forest. She looked around hurriedly, then disappeared into the trees. "It is no accident that my daughter came to this forest," thought Carl. There was a house of his own at the edge of the great forest. The 5 hectares of land that had belonged to his family for 100 years contained 2 properties: the house where Carl's family now lives, and his grandparents' house. But the second of them was abandoned. It had been inhabited for 50 years, but the little girl's journey ended at this house. For what reason? Why had he come here? Emily slowly approached the old building. In her right hand, she held a large plastic bag containing something heavy. What does he want here? And why does he hide from me that he is coming here? Carl wondered, but when he approached the house, he got the fright of his life. Someone was waiting for her on the balcony. Carl hid behind a bush to see what his daughter was doing. Emily walked over to the door of the house and pounded on it with her fist. The mysterious man on the balcony walked in, and after a while he opened the front door. Emily followed him into the house. Who is this man? What is he doing in our house? And most importantly, what does he want from Emily? The woman was stunned. She tried to run, but Carl stopped her. "Now you will tell me what you are doing here, and why you secretly meet my daughter every day." The startled woman burst into tears and sat down in her chair. She took a deep breath and began to tell Carl her sad story. "If I had known this earlier, I would have intervened immediately," Carl later told reporters. The woman's story was so pitiful, Carl couldn't hold back his tears. The family that lived in his house were refugees from Syria. The woman was old. He told him they had come from Syria. She, her daughter, and her 2 sons had fled the dangerous country and ended up in a refugee camp. The conditions there were inhumane, so they had to find help. I decided to go out on the street and ask for help. Who knows, maybe there will be a good person to help us. He walked the streets for days, hoping to find a helping hand. But no one paid attention to her. Then he met little Emily. "My family is everything to me. I try to give them the best I could." The old woman was struggling to support herself and her family. They didn't even have food to eat. Until one day Emily met this suffering woman near her school. He heard her painful story and felt very sorry for her. He was thinking of how he could help her. And then she got an idea. Emily told her about the old house on their lot and that they could live there safely. He then led them there. The woman could not find words to thank her. "We've been living in this house for a month now," the woman told Carl. "But we ran out of food because I have many mouths to feed. Fortunately, my dear Emily never left us helpless. Your daughter is truly a wonderful creature." Emily visited the old woman and her family every day. He played with the children and was interested in the problems of the family. When they ran out of food, he did what he could help them. Every day she took as much food as she could from her house and took it to the family. It wasn't much, but enough to survive, the old woman explained to Carl. Hearing this shocking story, Carl burst into tears. He felt proud of his daughter, and of course very relieved that she wasn't involved in some bad situation. He ran back to his house to talk to her. When he got home, he found Emily sitting in the armchair in the yard. He ran and hugged her as tight as he could. He told her that he had followed her and that he knew everything about the old woman's family. "It's okay, love, but please don't keep any more secrets from me, okay?" her father begged her. "I almost burst out of my agony, but I admire you for the good deeds you did. You are a rare girl." His worries that day had turned into admiration and pride for his little girl. And when Carl told his wife this story, Emily's family did something wonderful. They decided to help the old woman and her family. The woman's name was Alma. From now on, Alma could stay at home for free. They would also be given enough food each day for her and her children. But they didn't stop there. They held a fundraiser and managed to raise a large sum of money. With this money, they renovated the old house and turned it into a shelter for people in need. Emily and her family are now caring for 20 people in addition to Alma. 5 of those who helped even managed to get back on their feet. They started their own business and got their own house. Of course, all this started from the kindness in the heart of a little girl. And no one knows how far that kindness will go. How many of those who benefited will also follow the example of little Emily, and in turn help others? Emily's story has a great lesson to teach us all. We must help people in need. To love all living creatures, let's not only care about ourselves. Love can change the world. It is essentially the only way to change our society for the better, to solve the problems facing humanity today.